Oh hey, didn't see you there. A lot of people have been wondering, hey Dylan, what do you think of the Boba U4T switches? Are they better than Holy Pandas? Well, I finally got a hold of a set of Boba U4Ts and have been testing them in my daily driver keyboard for the past 2 weeks. While I do enjoy both Panda and Bobas, there's one switch out there that I definitely can recommend as a superior tactile switch, in my opinion. Are the Boba U4T switches better than Holy Pandas? Well, let's go ahead and find out.
A new opponent is ready to face you.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
There's no denying that the Holy Panda switch is one of the most popular, if not the most popular tactile switch out there. They're so popular amongst the custom mechanical keyboard community that there are even some companies that have been taking a stab at creating their own clones of the switch. The Holy Panda has such a great history behind it. They're a Franken switch created by using a Panda housing with a halo stem. This combination creates a snappy, thocky, and overall amazing tactile switch. The YOK Holy Pandas have been my all-time favorite tactile switch. I've been running them in my main keyboard as a daily driver for a pretty long time now, and I've grown accustomed to the feeling, even though I've tried many different tactile switches like the Zelios, T1s and all the T1 clones, Kiwis, as well as the Dragon Fruits, but somehow I always find myself running back to this tactile switch for both gaming and typing. Before I give you my opinion of the Boba U4T switch, I just want to start by saying a disclaimer where everything that I'm saying in this video is just my personal opinion, so please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Up until this point, I really haven't found a tactile switch that I enjoy as much or greater than the Holy Pandas. Maybe the Kiwis came a little bit close, but so far, not so good. After running the Holy Pandas for so long, all other tactile switches just kind of feel a little sluggish or mushy to me. That is, until I tried the Boba U4Ts. So let's go ahead and put these switches up for a head-to-head battle to see which one is the king of tactile switches. Oh right, and to all the people telling me that Alps are actually the best tactile switch in my YouTube comments, I have not came across a board with a set of tactile vintage Alps yet, so I'll only be speaking through my own personal experience. In the left corner, we have the YOK Holy Polar Pandas. These are a Franken switch / DIY switch that are created combining a halo clear stem with a YOK Panda housing. The housing material is nylon and they run a 60 gram spring, have an actuation force of 50 grams with a bottom out force of 60 grams. These are a 3-pin plate mount style switch that come with some factory lube on the bottom housing. The price per switch on these is a little bit pricey, coming in at $88 for 70 switches, which rounds out to about $1.25 per switch, but since you're buying 2 different sets of switches to create one, you are able to create unholy pandas with the leftover pieces. And in the right corner we have the Gazzew Boba U4Ts, U4 being short for Euphoria and T being short for tactile. The housing and stem are made out of a custom plastic, and these switches are available in a 62 gram and a 68 gram spring variant. These are a 5-pin switch, which are able to be ran without a plate if you choose to do so. The vendor's sale page does mention that these switches run a reduced leaf ping and Korean stainless steel springs. These switches do come a little bit lubed on the base and the leaf, which is a little odd for a tactile switch from the factory, and the price varies by vendor. You can get them on Ringer Keys for 60 cents a switch, or AliExpress in a batch of 70, which come in about 67 cents per switch. There are other non-US options in stock right now, so go ahead and Google Boba U4T and you probably will find them for sale in your country. I already went ahead and lubed both of these switches with Tribosys 3204 with Krytox 105 GPL oil on the springs like I do all my tactile switches, and if you're going to be running these switches, lubing them is a must. My apologies, I just won't run a stock sound test for you today. Both of these switches look relatively the same in terms of housing, leaf design, and spring length, but one of the biggest differences is the shape of the stem. Though I don't have the precise measurements, the Holy Panda stem does seem very slightly longer than the Boba U4T. This may cause some differences in how high the keycap sits while attached to the top of the stem, and overall bottom out distance and travel feeling. The shape of the tactile bumps on the legs of the stem differs per switch. This very slight difference in the tactile bump design on the stem actually contributes to quite a large difference in feel between the two switches. And though it is not disclosed what materials the plastic mix on the Boba housing is made from, there's a slightly noticeable difference in texture between the two housings. Keep in mind that different materials of different plastics used to make the housings will contribute greatly to the sound profile overall. Both of these switches have very little to actually no vertical and horizontal stem wobble, but I've seen quite a few people using switch films on the Boba U4Ts. I personally did not film them just because the tolerance on the Holy Pandas is already so tight. You're actually unable to add a switch film to them, and I wanted to keep this comparison pretty similar in terms of switch modifications. The keyboard that I'll be dropping these switches into for the sound test is a Mark 65 using GMK keycaps and C-cubed equal stabilizers. You can check out the full build on this keyboard in the annotation above. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into it with the sound test. After using the Gazzew Boba U4T thick, thocky tactile switch for over a couple weeks now, I can finally say that they have dethroned the Holy Panda as my favorite tactile switch. The reason being is, the Boba U4T's tactile bump is relatively similar to the Holy Panda's, but a little bit more snappy and a little bit more drawn out. After using the Boba U4Ts for a while and switching back to the Holy Pandas, the tactile bump does seem a little bit more top heavy on the Holy Panda and a little bit more rounded out on the Boba U4T. And what I mean when I say this is that the Holy Panda requires a lot more initial force to depress the switch at the very top, with a shorter tactile bump, which then feels a little bit more like a linear on the post travel. I don't really have the numbers to back this claim, but personally it feels like the Boba U4Ts have an overall shorter travel distance, albeit the difference in tactile bump experience, but overall the bump on the downstroke just feels a little bit more fulfilling on the Boba U4T in comparison to the Holy Panda. You can see what I mean when I press the two switches together. Though the Holy Panda is using a lighter spring at 60 grams, it is able to depress the Boba first. The very slight difference in stem design between the Halo stem and the Boba stem contributes greatly to the difference in feel overall. Again, I want to reiterate that the Bobas have a little less initial force at the top of the switch, but have an overall snappier, smoother, and longer tactile bump on the way down. The Holy Pandas do feel a little bit more top-loaded in comparison. Overall, the Boba U4T is a more affordable, thockier, and snappier version of the Holy Pandas. And after trying these switches for about 2 weeks, I do prefer the Boba U4T's tactility over the Holy Pandas. Are these switches for you? Well, here's a little fun flowchart that I made to help you decide. Go ahead and pause the video now if you do decide to use this flowchart. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you did enjoy this video, please leave me a thumbs up and drop me a subscription with the notification bell on if you already haven't. When I hit 3,000 subs on this channel, I will be giving away this keyboard. And again, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Peace!